jumped on that and
Good.
called her. So
Good.
really, this
Oh,
pricing
wow.
pros is less about CMAs and more about a love connection between
Yeah.
people. And although was it it was pricing pros where Lon said he thought he might have somebody for your Pegram place, Dee.
Oh yeah. And it was also pricing pros where I learned how to go Rogan.
That's
Remember?
right.
Like I was all like timid about the price, and she's like, "Nah, just price it up here." And I said, "Okay," and it worked. But yeah, you learn good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Trish, thanks for jumping back on. Sorry
Yeah,
for the technical snafu. I blame Teddy, even though it's my fault.
Good.
So we need the rest of the story. So Leslie was the one who
So
said
Leslie, who's on this call, I don't know if she jumped back on, but I did just say they jumped back on the call, said she has a buyer. This is exactly what he's looking for. And that he wants something he can fix up himself.
Yeah.
Right.
This budget. So yes, that's where we are right now.
Great. And now you can work on the other side of a transaction with Leslie having shared all this information and confidential stuff.
Neat. It's okay. Isn't it? It's okay, right?
I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I'm kidding. Hey, look, while you guys were wheeling and dealing over there on the phone, we were talking that, pricing pros, it's less about CMAs and more about making that love connection on properties and stuff. So, but it's part of what sharing and working together brings. And so if that works out, I think that's great. So and I'm just sad I didn't get to Leslie. I mean, before you did, Leslie. I'm kidding. I don't have a buyer. So to wrap up what we were saying before, does anybody have any comments or questions? Teddy was good to throw out his number there at the end, what he was thinking. Dee added some great comments like this, why not? Why not put it out there? And one why not could be if you put it out there way too high and it sits there stale, of course, then maybe that would affect. But with the seller's market under a month's inventory, I think there's less risk of that now. Would others agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to start the bidding at $1 million. I mean, that's
right.
They'll just think you're crazy. But
that neighborhood has been incredibly popular since the 60s. Like, if you start asking older people where they live when they graduated from college that have lived in Nashville all their lives, a bunch of them are going to say they lived over there. And I've had lots of friends that lived there. I've sold a few of them. I've been to parties. So that place has been really popular for like 40 something years. It's always going to be, when something really crazy happens, it's going to be a really popular, desirable place to live. So you got that going for you.
So I kind of have a question. Now that I already have this put on coming soon, so how do I properly, okay, let's say, well, Leslie does have a buyer for me, right? I take it, I just want to make sure I do everything properly because again, this is not only my first listing.
Oh.
Yes.
Awesome. Start with a bang.
I'm like, there is no, I've only sold like 4 houses. They've all been completely different deals, like from start to finish. And now I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing like, really jumping in to learn. It's how I do it best. But what I want to make sure is that I don't do anything wrong. So if Leslie believes she has a buyer for me and I need to take it off coming soon. No, for Leslie to see that.
No. She gets to see it when everybody else does.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
so,
Rebecca? Right?
Yeah. So
right?
So don't take it off and
Okay.
then show. So, so what you would want to do though is if you want to show it, you have to take it to active, and anyone can have the opportunity to see it. So in coming soon status, nobody can get in to see it.
Right. Okay.
You
Even
know?
though a bunch of people ask.
Yeah,
Right,
you
lot.
are in charge. You are in charge. They are not.
Well,
right.
that's just
You-
rude because they're breaking the rules and I'm a rule follower and it really bothers me. I'm like,
We're not breaking the rules. to
So
act.
many do that. So many houses, not even on the market, and they're sold. And they just do it.
yeah.
Under contract, and it was never shown in anywhere else. But
I've done
anyway,
that, and I didn't
just-
break any rules. I mean, it just depends. But once it's coming soon, it stays coming soon, and that's okay. And they can ask you if you can see it, and you can say no. It's beautiful.
What did you guys land on the price? Like, no, and we were talking about that, knowing that the foundation has issues, but knowing, and I'm all for Trish. Trish and I have worked together. I'm all for her, especially this being her first. We worked together in another life, but knowing that it does have foundation problems, do you still stay at 450? Where do you think? What's your guys' opinion?
I would. As many people interested in the property, I would stay that, and it would, it has to be revealed, but yes, 450.
Okay. D, Rebecca.
I don't know the extent of the foundation problem. Is it horrible or is it just annoying? I mean,
No, I mean, it's, we have a quote for it. I mean, I have all that. It needs a
you
beam,
going-
it needs a couple of jacks.
Is it just a beam issue where you just,
It has beam, it needs beam and jacks is what it needs.
that's not that big of a deal.
do you know how much it is?
It's about 9,000.
So you can somehow negotiate with that if you needed to, or something.
That's right. Yes.
I'm not sure what to do with that, but I don't think that's gonna be the unworkoutable.
Okay.
I think you can do it.
Unworkoutable.
Unworkoutable. Yeah, I don't think so.
Where'd you go to school, D? Come on, man.
Same place as you. You didn't learn that word there? There's
I
some other
did.
words.
You speak my language.
Good, good.
So
Yeah.
I recently had a listing where there was a foundation issue, and that caused some cracking and stuff, and they got a quote for it, and the quote was, I want to say 11,000. It was considerably larger, thing you do,
Of course. Yeah.
property, but see, I did go to the same place that school that you went to, the thing you do.
And you do.
So they opted to go on and fix it and then price it, accordingly, like that, rather than leave it to repair negotiations. And we led with, it's on the property condition disclosure. Here's the receipt for the work and the work specs, and here's the warranty that goes with it. And that's all we're not gonna talk about this. It's done. That said, you could leave it to that point of repair negotiations and provide and say, I have a quote for it and here's what it is, and we'll be glad to, and roll the dice on that and say, leave it to the repair negotiation stage. And that's not a bad strategy necessarily, because it could be, hey, look, we'll agree to make this big repair, but don't nickel and dime us on anything else, because we're
Okay.
agreeing to this. So
True, that's true.
different
I'm
strategies.
just curious, was that quote for the foundation, was that a masonry pier or and a beam, a real beam?
Okay, so that was, well, first of all, how foundation companies are. I mean, they came in and gave, a list, but not all of that needs to be done. And so let me see here.
And while you're looking that up, Trish, I will mention, if you do leave the foundation repair to repair negotiation stage, obviously that could delay your closing somewhat, because it's major work that needs to get done. And then you have to get the report and the letter and all that stuff.
So,
So-
well, I've got the guy ready to do the foundation work. He's kind of on hold right now while I decide. In fact, I was going to call the person after this class this morning and say, this is what I've decided to do. So the foundation is, the two most expensive things were to permanently stabilize the foundation and then to permanently stabilize the floors. So those were the two major things, which was three separate jacks or 4 separate jacks and a beam or girder. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. I'm not really up on my foundation talk. So
Well, if you disclose this to everybody and show them something from the people that gave you the quote that says what it is and what it's going to cost, when they write you your 8 multiple offers, they will all know that. It will be disclosed and they can deal with it however they like.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I like that approach. Let's just cut to the chase, not get 2 weeks into it and when you've
Yeah.
already paid an inspector.
Yeah, no, yeah, you have to reveal that.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, you can let the buyers decide what they want to do. Do they want to offer you less money and they'll fix it themselves? Do they want you to put money in escrow so they can, there's 100 million ways to do it, but if they all know it's coming, so that's
Trish, don't do that to me. Come on now.
well, what's she supposed to do?
Trish, what do you want?
Well,
What
okay.
do you want? What do you want? What do you want to make it easy for you? What do you want?
Wait, but you can't have this conversation. Wait, la.
So
wait, you mean I can't say cash under the table? Come on.
this is being recorded.
I'm kidding. We're kidding. We're so kidding.
Okay,
Kidding.
good.
But really, what do
you
you
know.
want? I'm just-
So I do want to, Dee makes a point, there a good point, there are options for how to
Okay.
handle this. Obviously,
Yeah,
you're
What
talking
makes
about,
it easy for the client, the seller.
right. Well played, Leslie, well
Yeah.
played. Well, one thing to keep in mind, when Dee had mentioned, I just want to point this out, Dee had mentioned, do they want to put money in escrow? When you put money in escrow, that is officially become part of the contract. And if a lender is involved, they really don't love seeing $11,000 in escrow because they're going to want to know what that money is for. And I'm not saying do anything to get around that. I'm just saying that's going to add some transparency to the lender in terms of the repair. And then the lender may then require an additional inspector to come out, a structural engineer. Not saying any of those things are bad. It's just something to consider.
It's
Okay.
consider, yes, that's right.
So
Okay.
it's the same reason if when we're negotiating repairs and we agree to some repairs, but we'll give $1,000 towards buyer expenses, in lieu of repairs. We don't put that in an amendment. We say just to credit $1,000. Let's just leave it at that, right? You don't want to ever say in lieu of repairs in an amendment to the contract.
Right.
And you don't put X amount in lieu of repairs in a repair amendment. It doesn't belong in there. If you're going to change the amount of buyer expenses or seller to credit in that section of the contract, you need to put that on an amendment, not on a repair amendment.
Okay.
All right, thanks. I wanted to check at just the chat box. We had another couple of great comments. Sylvia, thank you so much. Said,
Wait, can I comment on that? Wouldn't you just offer her more money than she's asking?
Yeah, but at what point, do you have a mortgage or a suitcase of cash?
Yeah.
so if it's a cash deal and you're not worried about appraisal, which is what this chat box comment is speaking to as well. If it's a cash deal, then you know, they can forego appraisal and you're not going to have an issue. But if you're talking about tacking $11,000 onto the price of the house, and you've already assessed that you believe 450 is the right amount. And again, let's think about that that list price in terms of its likelihood of appraising.
Right.
When you look at the other, because the appraiser isn't going to go into the crawl space and look at the foundation. The appraiser is going to look at like properties that have sold recently, square footage, other features like that. Has it been redone? They'll consider things like that, the age of the stuff inside, that sort of thing.
Will they consider that the person is going to redo it?
Would they consider if the buyer's going to
redo it? Mm-hmm.
if the buyer's going to redo it?
Correct.
No, no, it's just an appraisal is an opinion of price at that moment in time, right
Okay.
there that day.
Okay. Okay.
Great question. So Sylvia was saying she'd always want to have at least one comp that you could with a straight face show an appraiser and say, because that's what we do often, especially in these multiple offer situations where we're getting over listing price and stuff, and we're starting to push that boundary of where we think it might appraise. And you do need to advise your client, so yourself, Trish, that that's something to consider. Because if the property doesn't appraise for the sale price that you've agreed to, the buyer who's getting a loan is going to have to pay that difference.
Right.
So
Yes.
you don't want that situation. So when we're talking about major repairs, like multiple thousands of dollars, you got to consider that in that equation. So I love that Sylvia points that out, because oftentimes when we're in these situations, we're going above list price. We talk about making a features list or putting some comps together that we can provide to the appraiser. Some of them will look at them, some of them won't. But I love that. Just have at least one.
Trish, my buyer is a cash buyer. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that loud?
No,
I
you're
just asked him, my buyer's a cash buyer.
okay. Well, that helps.
I
That
don't know
does-
why we're still talking at this point.
Yeah,
honestly.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah, you need to send me over or give me the MLS number so I can send it to him. He's very interested. I've been texting him this entire time.
Well, it is coming soon, so let's maybe add quickly about Clear Cooperation. So it is coming soon. So
Yes.
coming soons don't appear to our clients in their auto notifies, right? But
Right.
it is information that we can share with them, that any agent can share with their client. But before you schedule any showings with anyone, you'll want to get it moved to active. And so you may have a few more questions to get answered for yourself before you get to that point.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And have your multiple offer situation strategy ready to go. So thanks, Josh. All right, let's see. One more quick comment from Sylvia. Or if you don't really talk to the seller about what they want to do, or if it doesn't appraise, I might include that details and quote are available in the broker notes, in the private notes. Don't want to necessarily scare anyone off. Have the problem and the solution in your hands.
yes.
So, and I think that goes whichever path you take, whether you disclose ahead of time or you hold on to it and share it after. For me personally, I appreciate it when a listing agent says, hey, these are the issues and I'll send you the documents right now. Let's
Yes.
let's not waste anybody's time.
You want to be
You still
on.
get your inspection, but we already know this and this and this.
Yes.
Disclose, disclose, disclose.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
Bobby/Maria. So, all right. I thank you all so very much. Trish, thank you for
you.
providing this for us to chew upon. Anybody want to add what price they think it should be?
I don't think it matters.
I
I think you're gonna get a bunch of people and you pick a number and you're gonna get a bunch of people and they're gonna pick numbers. And I think wherever you are in the 440, 450 department, you're good.
Yeah.
You
I think
know,
so too.
As
You know,
if-
because you have such excellent like comps over here,
Yeah.
I think you could even go back in here and weed out a few more, tighten up the list. Sometimes you want to have more, yeah, but this is a pretty tight range. And then pick something very aggressively reasonable
Okay.
or reasonably aggressive.
Reasonably aggressive. Yeah.
Go Rogan on it. If you need to,
Yeah.
if you need to know what that means, talk to Dee Davis.
Or Virginia Rogan. I mean, hey.
She
stand up for her.
puts it out there.
Yeah.
All right, tech tip. So it's a bummer, as I've mentioned in the past, but this is a beta version, this interface. We all used to use before we used a different, and the interface was very different. RealTrax is doing a major update, and with the new interface, it's in beta, so not all our features are in there. And one of the features that is not in there yet, and I just hounded them again today, is once you have this wonderful, we've narrowed it down, we've pushed things through our funnel, and I'm like, this is the one. I want to save it. You can't save it yet. All right, so we've done all this work and you can't save the search.
Oh. You can
So,
screenshot it.
and I just, and so fair warning,
Are you kidding me?
no, and I'm not kidding. And I just found this out like 6 days ago and I've contacted them 3 times about it already. So I just fair warning, because I keep encouraging everyone to use this new interface. But when you put all this work into it and then
Yes.
you're like, I can't, I'm going to have to redo it, that really, really stinks. So
Screenshot it.
that's true. That's one way. We on Pricing Pros are going to continue to use this new interface so that everybody gets exposed to it. If you have something that you really need to save, you need to go to the go search, and then under residential, and this takes you to the old interface that those of us who have been around a minute have used this one primarily. You're going to want to do all your searching and your funneling and your iterations here, so that then you can use the save as search feature. All right. Friendly
Hey,
neighborhood.
Trish.
All right.
That was
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you all
Get it
so
together,
much.
Trish.
Thank you so
Trish,
much.
Trish, be sure and come back on another Pricing Pros and tell us how it turns out. Okay.
I will. Thank you guys so much. Huge help.
Thank you all very, very much. Great to see you. See you in 2 weeks.
Have a good
See
day.
ya.
Hey.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah.